The two theories that I'll be discussing in this video are the principles of KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and the risk assessment model. The objectives are the starting point for the planning of any event. What is the event intended to do? Intention to celebrate, to entertain, to fundraise, quoted by Schoen and Perry, 2010, page 91. And their ideology behind KISS. The 6 objectives discussed in this model are as follows. Firstly, set organizational objectives. Secondly, cascade objectives to employees. Thirdly, encourage participation in goal setting. Fourthly, monitor progress. And finally, evaluate and reward performance, followed by repeating the cycle. These objectives allow for innovative planners to create a vision of their event, as there are clear aims set out from the start of the planning process to finish. The risk assessment model is defined by Hughes 1998 as the method of identifying, analyzing, assessing, treating, monitoring, and communicating risks associated with any factors, functions, or processes faced by facility or event managers. There are 5 steps to the risk assessment template: identifying hazards, determine who is affected, are existing controls adequate, record the findings, then review. The principles of KISS and the risk assessment models both have a relevance to the sport and recreation industry. Both KISS and the risk assessment models can be applied in a team or sport organization matrix. Take rugby, for example. With the All Blacks, there is a head coach who underneath him has a whole team of coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, etc. behind him who will help the team prepare for the games. If the KISS principles are used, delegate objectives to each coach or member of the staff. Each coach would encourage participation with the athletes in goal setting. Coaches would manage progress of the goals of the training. At the end of the training or game, coaches and players would reevaluate and possibly award performance, and then in preparation for the next game, the cycle would repeat. Any coach of a sport team would have a risk plan/assessment set in place to minimize injuries. The risk assessment model and its template is a common model of how a sport team or individual athlete would go about minimizing risk. Coaches would identify hazard. Take rugby again, for example. Concussions are a big risk. Determine who is affected. Review current controls and procedures for rugby concussion testing, and then review findings. Especially for concussions, in all sport or any common injury, there is a constant review of policy and procedures for risk management. Question 2. Personal application of theories. As discussed in my 1,000-word reflection, I did not personally contribute a lot to the planning of my group sessions. As I didn't get involved in the risk assessment plan for our event, I cannot provide a personal application of the theory, but can recall on an experience from another team's event where a risk assessment plan had to be used. The group that had conducted their workshop in week 6 had 2 or 3 scenarios of people getting injured with one reoccurring injury. When these accidents happened, it was obvious that when creating a risk assessment plan, they had identified the hazards and who was affected, but did not have set controls to manage the risk. So when injuries started to happen, they were unprepared and did not know how to manage them. This is where a full in-depth risk assessment plan would have been vital, but no matter how planned on paper you can be and look like there is no risk, there is always a chance of a risk coming up. Personally, during the planning process, I applied few of the principles from KISS. The first 2 principles, self-organizational objectives and cascade objectives, I did not use as I was not in a leadership role amongst the group. The third principle, encourage participation in goal setting. I found this was out of all the principles the one I personally used the most. As discussed in my SWOT analysis, communication is the area I see myself being strong in. During the group discussion, I encouraged ideas and participation amongst group members. Even though I wasn't participating in the organization event, I do believe I played a vital part in helping come up with the activities for the event. Throughout the course of the assignment, I kept the principles of KISS in the back of my head, as this was a set of principles I knew would suit my strength areas and expose my weaknesses that had been identified in the SWOT. In conclusion, as I did not personally contribute a lot to the planning stages of our group workshop, the two theories discussed in the videos, I only personally used KISS. If I was to do this assignment again, I would contribute more to the planning process and applied more theories, principles, and practices personally, which would have allowed me to get more out of doing this assessment.